You're listening to the Gold Standard on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Alex Gold.
All right, been looking forward to this all show long. He's going to join us each and every Tuesday right at this time, Wednesday for those of you on the East Coast. In studio, Jerry Bow. Jerry Bow knows with a Z on Twitter. Give him a follow if you don't already. We got a little taste last week, man, with some college football week 0, Florida and Miami, but we got everything going our way this week, starting on Thursday night as well. How did you do last week? How are we feeling? College football's back.
3-0.
All right.
3-0 is a nice start, right? It's always good to play with house money, what they say. But now the little taste is out of the way. Now it's time to eat, Alex.
Absolutely. All right, I do want to start with Auburn and Oregon, only because I think that's by far the biggest game on the slate as far as what people are going to be paying attention to. It should be the best game this weekend. I'm also a little biased because I'm going up to the game. So I want to get your thoughts. And let's look at this. So depending on what book, you tell me what you have. I'm looking at 3.5 here, Oregon, 3.5-point dogs.
You said the key phrase here, though, the biggest game of the weekend. So you have to know that the books are ready for that. You have to know that Herbert's out there. You have to know that the books are ready for that as well. So how much of a premium is already added into that number? It looks too good to be true. And whenever in the gambling world you hear that, it usually ends up bad. Now, the interesting thing here is Auburn opened up around 2.5, 3. So to go to 3.5, now we're crossing key numbers. They're giving you, the book is telling you, hey, we know there's a true freshman on one side, and we know there's a Heisman candidate on the other, and we're still going to give you 3.5 points. It's very, very, very scary on that aspect. Me personally, I think that 3.5 is good enough to bet Oregon, maybe smaller.
Okay.
But a great point here is, and a good measuring stick, let's say, is Washington-Auburn last year to start out the season. At a neutral field, Atlanta, Georgia, 21-16 final score. What's changed since then for Auburn? Because on the defensive side, they're the same team.
I was going to say, that you talk about a strength. We all know that Oregon offensive line versus that Auburn defensive line, both strengths of each team. And I wonder, you mentioned the newcomer, Bo Nix, is the quarterback for Auburn. For me, I look at the total. The total's where I'm at. I'm going to probably stay away from the spread on this game for the reasons you brought up. You make some good points. What about the total here? 55.5? Just at first glance, I'm talking myself into the under.
And I agree with you. Just kind of like on that Miami-Florida game, it seemed what was your thoughts going into it? Maybe a slow start, let the quarterbacks get comfortable. You saw that in one play that busted to the house, and under bettors first half, as myself, were sweating.
Yeah.
But what you know here is that in the last 6 games, the SEC dominates that Pac-12 5-1, and that's what people are going to see, more physical, the bigger guys, and that's what people are going to go whenever they punch their tickets. If you look at the ticket count, Auburn's getting the money. Oregon's getting the tickets. So money means bigger bettors. Tickets means public. If you want to go with the pros here, Auburn's where it's at. But your normal guy is going to walk up Saturday and he's going to say, wow, the Heisman candidate against a true freshman, give me those 3.5 points. And that's what Vegas wants.
Jerry Bow, at Jerry Bow Knows with a Z on Twitter, in studio with us here on SB Nation Radio. He's the host of Moneyline on KFNC in Houston. You can also check out his work on sportsmap.com. Some bookie busters coming your way, that's for sure. And as you mentioned, you've been red hot over the last couple of weeks. I know a game that you really want to talk about on the college slate, Houston in Oklahoma. Plenty of intrigue. Jalen Hurts, of course, the starting quarterback at OU. And then you got Dana Holgorsen now coaching Houston Cougars.
The quarterback whisperer, right? Can he do it again? That's the question here. But what we know in gambling, I like to know what we know and what's in question, to put it that way. So what do we know here? That Oklahoma's going to come out flying. What do we know? That Dana Holgorsen has recency history with them. He knows how to play the Big 12. He can score. In my opinion, though, at one point or another, you have to mask a bad defense by slowing down, and that's what was Oklahoma's problem last year. They allowed 33 points a game, but their offense was so explosive, so they didn't really care to a certain point, right? They said, hey, we'll outscore you. But whenever you have a team like Houston that has an experienced quarterback, and I think they can go punch for punch, those 23.5 points, that's huge.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points, and to be honest with you, 82 is a high over-under. If I had to bet it, which I'm not going to, I don't see myself saying I'm going to go under, but if I was going to, I would be on the under. In other words, I lean under. So if I'm leaning under, these points are more of a premium. Whenever there's a bigger spread, when you start getting to the 20-point spreads, those points don't hold that much weight. But say you have a 50, 60-point over-under, and you're getting double-digit, those points have a lot more weight to them, if that makes sense. In this particular case, I don't think it hits 82, and I think those 23 points are golden.
Okay, there's some good advice for Houston, Oklahoma. Again, that game on Sunday night. We've got college football Thursday. I think there's also a couple games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night as well, which is the next game I want to look at with you, Jerry. Notre Dame and Louisville. I know there's some media members making the trip. They're going up to Dallas. Then they're going for Auburn and Oregon. Then on Sunday, they're driving 2.5, 3 hours north to Norman for Oklahoma and Houston. And then after that, they're driving over to Louisville for Notre Dame Louisville. So some people making the 3 games, and we go right to Louisville as well. Notre Dame Louisville, I'm seeing Louisville as a 20-point dog.
That's a lot of points, it seems like. But whenever you come out in college football, a measure I like to use, and usually I like to use a term, a true magician doesn't show all his tricks. But I'm Team SB Nation now for this season. So
that's right.
I'm pulling out all the stops. So one of the tricks that I like to use is find an offense that has returning linemen, hopefully at least 3, hopefully connecting in the interior. So say a center, guard. If get that combination with a returning quarterback and 1 receiver, usually those are teams that get off to a fast start. In Notre Dame's particular case, and this is something that you need to look at going forward, they're going to play 7 times this year against teams coming off a bye. Think about that.
Brutal.
7 of their games this year are going to be against teams coming off a bye. That gives that team an extra week to prepare against them. Notre Dame's got to come flying out the gates. That seems like a lot of points to a regular fan that comes up and says, what happened in Louisville? How have they fallen off so much in the last few years? Well, that spread tells you everything you need to know. I think the Fighting Irish come out swinging, and I think they cover this. But I think that their season falls apart quick from the position that they're in.
Notre Dame, minus 20. The over-under on that game, by the way, 54.5. And I want to ask you about Notre Dame, too, because of the brand recognition. We see this with Texas a lot. Certainly Notre Dame is one of the big brands in college football. How much is that, when we talk about public money as well, and you see the line what it is, like there's plenty of Notre Dame fans out there that want to believe, right, that their team is going to win and cover spreads. How much does that get? How much of the line do you think is inflated, if at all, because of that on a weekly basis with names like Notre Dame in Texas, for example?
You see that all the time. The Notre Dames of the world, the Alabamas of the world, they get a lot of public action, and their fans as well. The regular bettor, he's not going to go up there this weekend, and he'd rather say, man, Alabama's going to beat these guys by 40. Right. But little does he, and he'll look and he'll say, Saban's 10-1 in the last 11 opening games, right? That week 1. Why not? But then whenever you look at Saban giving up plus 30 points, he's 11-22 in the last 33 games in that predicament. So you ask yourself, how many times does he really care about blowing the team out of the water like that? Yes, in week 1s he does have a great record, but is he already looking ahead maybe here? How much of an emphasis is put into this particular game? Don't get me wrong, Alabama's got a bad taste in their mouth coming off last year. I could see them coming out. But to go up there and give that many points, same thing in the Clemson game, to give that many points. And then one key factor is people taking Georgia Tech and realize that I've heard a lot of people say, man, the triple option, they're going to be able to keep the ball. If you got the ball, for example, what Army did to Oklahoma last year, they were able to keep the ball away from Oklahoma. But they're not running that triple option
Georgia
anymore.
Tech taking on Clemson Thursday night, and new head coach, new scheme, everything.
The whole thing is a new scheme. So how long did those recruits were from the old team, from the one that was running triple option? How many years does it take for those players to get acclimated to it's supposed to be a spread offense now. Supposedly they're going to let them run. That's a big change.
That's going to look weird, by the way, seeing Georgia Tech not running a triple option, Paul Johnson out the door and moving on. And, that's a big number for that Clemson game too, right?
Exactly. So then you ask yourself, how many points can Georgia Tech score against that defensive front? How are they going to even hold up against them?
Clemson 37-point at last check, 37-point favorites. We're talking with Jerry Bow. Jerry Bow knows with a Z on Twitter. He's the host of Moneyline on KFNC in Houston. You can also check out his work on sportsmap.com, giving you a great insight better educate yourself heading into this college football season and heading into college football week number 1. The final game I wanted to look at, I know you're excited, Georgia and Vandy down in the SEC. That game on Saturday. What do you like about this? What stands out about Georgia and Vandy, and how should people be approaching this one?
Here I go, giving my tricks away again. A key measure that I like to look at is where the contact is being made with a ball runner. So if it's being made in that backfield, you know that the defensive line is getting the better of the offensive line, right? In this particular case, when you look at the way these teams play, Georgia ran it down their throat the last 2 times they've played. What has changed for Georgia? Yes, they've lost Ridley. Yes, they've lost a couple big names on the defensive side of the ball, but quarterback's still there. Swift is there, and they ran it for 245 yards last year against that team and blew them out by almost 40 points. Year before that, over 30 points. I see them coming out with a chip on their shoulder because this is a team that gives them trouble here and there. They lost to them twice, I believe, in the last 5, and then the last 2 they came out and rolled them. This is the Georgia team that's going to come out with a chip on their back, and it's not like some of these games you have a ride-in against some smaller schools.
Yeah.
This is actually a game out the gate. So look for Georgia to come out, and they call the score. I think Georgia wins by plus 30. So
wow.
Take that
okay.
to the bank.
So you love the minus 21.5
I love
for Georgia.
it. I'm all over it.
All right. The over-under also in that game, just for people wondering, 58. I want to transition briefly here to the NFL. A couple more minutes here with Jerry Bow in studio with us on SB Nation Radio. The Andrew Luck news, biggest story in sports for the last couple days. His retirement at the age of 29, and Jacoby Brissett is the guy. You look at the odds shifting around in that division. The Texans, along with the Jags, I believe, are now co-favorites, depending on where you look. What does this do for the Colts, and what does this do for the Texans and everybody in that AFC South with Andrew Luck out of the picture?
From a futures perspective, win total, about 2.5 to 3 wins is what it went down from Colt.
So Luck was worth about 3 wins.
That's what. And as far as exact points, just to, let's say, the week 1 spread, about a touchdown. Oof. Now, I was on Moneyline, the show that I host, I was telling people before the retirement, I didn't think Luck would play week 1 regardless.
Right. It was trending that way perhaps.
And that line against the Chargers sat at around 2.5, 3. If you would have got it then, now it's in the past the touchdown. So that's the thing with gambling. Take your shots. Sometimes you have to gamble on the gamble, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You have to look a step ahead and say, where is this line honestly going to go? And did you honestly think that they were going to take a chance with Luck after holding them out this whole offseason? It was looking kind of funny. Brissett is known to be the most serviceable, let's say, of these most serviceable group of quarterbacks, backups. What's changed since then? Because last time that Brissett was plugged in, he had, 10 days? That's not much.
Yeah.
How much better is he now?
Got to think, but 1,200 reps, I guess, is the number he's had since Luck has been out this offseason.
What does that do for the AFC in general, though? Because I live in a world of overreactions. That's when we make money. Whenever news comes out, people overreact, and they tend to go stack their money. Not to say that the Texans might not be the front runners now. Not to say that Jacksonville doesn't have a chance now. But just to say that the Colts are just extremely done. Let's sweep them under the table. That's ridiculous for a team that everyone was painting to be in the AFC Championship game or somewhere in there.
Yeah, they were a contender. They're absolutely a Super Bowl contender.
Let's put them up there somewhere. Now they dropped from 12, 15 to 1 to about 30 to 35 to 1. That's a drastic drop for a team that has pieces in every other spot that you needed them. That's why they were contenders. So dropping off from Luck to Brissett, yeah, it's a big drop. Is it 3 wins? I don't think so.
Fantastic stuff for Jerry Bow. Out of time on this Tuesday night. He's going to join us each and every show here right around this time, talking college football. And next week, we're going to have a ton of NFL to get into. Week 1 of the NFL season right around the corner. How can people get in touch? They want some of your plays in addition to what advice you gave tonight. You can find me at Twitter at Jerry Bow Knows with a Z, and everything I do on SportsMap here in Houston. Fantastic. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up here. It's a Gold Standard on SB Nation.